Hari Om. So I am coming to the eighth Vibhaga, Samadhi. Ashta limbs we have seen of Patanjali's Yoga Shastra, Ashtanga. So eighth limb is a very important limb. Samayama, he will say Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. That is what he says, and the previous five is just training your body and maintaining your body and developing your body nicely so that you can do the meditation. That's what the first five goes, including your niyama, yama, the external training means your good character, your good conduct, your good behavior. That is also one of the conditions. Not getting angry, not feeling jealousy, apaishunam, lot of things are there. Then the breathing exercise, then the asanas, then only the pratyahara, all these things we have discussed. Now let us see what is Samadhi. Samadhi is a very, very important concept discussed not only by Patanjali. Patanjali mainly is only Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. And the other five, eight. So he only talks of all these meditations, not the Sarvangasana or Dhanurasana or Shirasasana and all. He never says. It all came later on stage. So what is this Samadhi? Samadhi broadly we can say Sampragyata Samadhi and Asampragyata Samadhi. Pragyata, consciousness. Sam means complete, pure concentration on an object of meditation is, I would say, Sampragya. A means opposite. Asampragyata Samadhi is you concentrate on Om or without any, no object is there, but you concentrate. You just close your eyes and think of a Om or a Shreem. So that is a broad classification, but we should understand what is a Samadhi. Samadhi means and how it is different from death. See, there are two important, as I was ruminating and thinking deeply, and I was referring, these two things are very important because in Samadhi they say you totally get yourself dissolved, but we don't die. Whereas death, nobody is, once a person dies, then the matter is over and he does not come back to tell us what was death like that unless you see some near-death experiences, which I have also written in my book, Do You Really Die? That is a different concept and philosophy altogether. So, what Patanjali, wherever you use Panini, please excuse me, it is Patanjali. Panini is also there, Munitrayam is there. So, where Patanjali in his Yoga Shastra talks of Samadhi is, he gives a beautiful verse in chapter 3, the verse number 3, which would be like this, Eva, Tati Eva. Tati eva artha matra nirbhasam. Nirbhasam, no bhasam, nirbhasam swa rupa shunyam. Swa rupa shunyam. So your rupa, swa rupa is zero. And that is Samadhi. Swa rupa shunyam, that is Samadhi. Now what does it mean? See, in the Savikalpa, when you have an object of meditation, you think of an Om, or you think of a point between the two eyebrows, Bruvaha, and you think of the tip of the nose, your breathing and all. That's an object. So Vikalpa means optional. You have a lot of options to do the meditation. Sa means he, this, that. Sa, that options you have. That's why it's called Sa Vikalpa Dhyana. But that is what we call as Sampragyata, and Asampragyata, I told you, is no object of meditation. But Patanjali, in his Yoga Shastra, in this third chapter, in third verse, he says, Tati eva arthan matra nirbhasam swarupa. Swarupa, he says, is shunyam iva samadhi. Iva samadhi. Your rupam is also dissolved. When they complete the meditation, when you are meditating, you don't realize that you are, say for example, your name is Paramashiva. You don't know that you are Paramashiva. If your name is Sharma, you will not know that you are Sharma. The I thought is not there. See, that is what even Ramana Maharshi says. When Paul Brenton said, I am Paul Brenton, I am an Englishman, I am coming from England, I am wanting to know. You always refer to that I. Who is that I? He couldn't understand. Then he said, you go into the source of your thought, the I thought, and do the Atma Vichar. Once you do that I thought, who am I? The Atma Vichara, then finally you will dissolve that I thought itself. That object of meditation is gone. It gets dissolved there. Very beautifully Ramana Maharshi explained. So all our rishis, in fact, Ramana Maharshi did not study Patanjali Yoga Shastra and come into this. He actually developed, because the science was there in India. It was in India only, not in any part of the world. The science was there in India, and all the rishis picked themselves individually, and some may would have referred to the Vedas. But Ramana Maharshi and others, they are all natural, ingrown, everything, natural thoughts. What Patanjali wrote, without reading, again Ramana Maharshi says. So, in that, it is a very important concept which we have to understand about this. When you come to Samadhi, the concept of Samadhi is you get dissolved. That's all. You get dissolved into the I thought. That is a very clearly meditation we have. The I thought, you get dissolved so that you don't feel that you are that I. You don't feel that is a person. Now, before I am coming to what is the difference between the deep meditation, dissolving yourself into the I thought, and the death where you don't realize that I, persons like Tirumoolar, I cannot forget him, I cannot be without quoting him. He beautifully says about this Samadhi in one of his verses. He says, Agindra minnoli yavadum kandapin, ஆகின்ற மின்னொளி யாவதும் கண்டபின் பாகின்ற பூவிற் பரப்பவை காணலார் மேகின்ற காலங்கள் வெளையுற நின்றபின் போகின்ற காலங்கள் போவதும் இல்லையே. Very beautifully he says. He says, ஆகின்ற மின்னொளி, that flash, if he says, he always refers to Shiva, Mahashivan. ஆகின்ற மின்னொளி யாவதும் கண்டபின். After you have realized that flash of light, then what happens? பாகின்ற பூவீர் பரப்பவை, the expanse of earth is lost. மேகின்ற காலங்கள், all these மேகின்ற காலம், the time, the period, வெளையுற நின்றன, they all stop outside only. போகின்ற காலங்கள், the time which is going does not go. So that is a state. Okay, now how far it is different from death? So one has to understand, one has to deeply analyze, because when you come to this stage of Samadhi, it's not meditation, it is not dharana. It is totally, when you have attained the Samadhi, then you are coming to that state where the I thought, everything is dissolved and you probably don't even realize your existence. Now, in verse number, I think 119, what Patanjali says, I am quoting that verse, beautiful verse, which I thought we should not leave that verse. The verse is, Patanjali says, Bhava Pratyayaha. Bhavam. Bhava means your expressions. Bhavam Pratyayaha Videha Prakriti. Videha Prakriti Laya Nam. Laya Nam. Layam Laya Nam. Of the Layas is a Bahuvachana Shashti Vibhakti, 6th Vibhakti Purushalingam, Punlingam. See what he says. See the body, see the Prakriti, the Aparaha Prakriti is there. The Videha Prakriti, the foreigner Prakriti means the one that is not what you have obtained while in the Samadhi. But here, your body is gone. Once the body is gone, so you go to the Videha Prakriti, and what happens is, and all the impressions that you have in your mind, which you have stored in your mind, get dissolved in nature, and they are ready to get reborn. Layanam, Videha Prakriti, all this goes into the foreign Prakriti, and what happens? You will get Layanam in that. You will get immersed, you will not, the body, they get reborn. That's all he says. So that is where Patanjali scores a point. He argues that is what it is happening in a death. Because you are not meditating to your death. A man is there, he's sick, his body is sick, okay. Then he loses the consciousness and then he passes away. The soul gets out of the body. But in a samadhi, what is the difference? The samadhi, he quotes a beautiful words which I will quote you now. That's chapter 1. The chapter 1 is the first pada, the samadhi pada. And in the words, he says very, very beautifully that Ishvara is distinct, he is incomparable. Now, if you get that pure awareness of Ishvara, which is utterly independent of any cause and effect, of any emotions, any latent impressions, that position will not store any latent impressions. That means your thoughts, your consciousness before a man dies. See, our brain has, most of us remember even when we were 5 years old or 10 years old, most of the incidents or some of the incidents we remember vividly also. Our marriage dates, our honeymoon dates, or our college days. All these dates, we remember. Dates or the happenings. The latent impressions goes on, and as we grow older, the impressions are there, strongly embedded. The recent impressions are embedded. So these are carried. And that's why in verse number 1.9, that videha prakritihi, that layanam, he says very clearly, that Purusha, he enters into ready to be reborn with those latent impressions. But here, once you enter into a samadhi, what he says is klesha, karma, vipaka, ashaihi. Asha means desire. Ashaihi, by the ashas, ashaihi. Then apara amrishtaha. Mrishtaha means clean, pure. Means the whole cleanliness take place. Aparaha. That means you don't go into the other, I will complete this, other nature. You are not reborn with the latent impressions. You are just going to the mrishtaha. That is, mrishtaha means cleaned, pure. So, means whole, means different, opposite meaning. Means adinam, whole day. In Sanskrit, you have to be very careful with the swaras, pronunciation. So, aparaha amrishtaha, this Purusha means consciousness, the awareness, the Purusha, Vishesha Ishvaraha. Now, what is that Vishesha Ishvaraha? The Vishesha Ishvara, the particular Ishvaraha is your state of Samadhi, where you don't go to the other prakritis. The latent impressions in the brain is not transferred to other bodies. There is no rebirth, is the artha. So Patanjali makes a very valid point in his Patanjali's Yoga Shastra about the samadhi, differentiating it from a death. Death also, person loses his consciousness, is it not? But then again, our entire science is one. When Bhagavan says, Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grihnati naraha aparani. So, digested garments is thrown, you are wearing a new one. Tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani. The Atma goes into a new body. Bhagavan says, unless you meditate and attain the statehood of samadhi, that's what Buddha also said. But this Ishvara is an Ishvara where Acharya Shankara says it is an Ishvara, Patanjali says it is an Ishvara. Ishvara means a state of pure awareness where once you go to his lotus feet or once you go into that state, you don't carry any latent, any impressions of your previous birth to be born again. There is no rebirth. Matter is over. That's it. For that, what you have to do? You have to prepare for yourself with 5 stages. All these you have to throw away. Your anger, your krodha, your jealousy, your everything, all these, then you have to sit and meditate. Then you come into the state of samadhi. Once you come into the state of samadhi, he says, while you are alive, then you will know the Ishvara, the pure consciousness, which is a Vishesha Purusha, Vishesha Prakriti. It is different from the normal consciousness lost due to death. You come into this awareness of pure awareness of Ishvara, the consciousness. Ishvara means, that's what our Hindu sages said. Slight difference between Buddha and these people is Buddha talks only of that state, that's all, and he keeps quiet. But we, in Hindus, we believe that Ishvara, absolutely same as Spinoza's God, as Einstein believed, is everywhere. In Tamil they say, Thunilum irupar, Thurumbilum irupar. He will be in a speck, he will be in everywhere. Anoho aniyan mahati mahiyan, says Dharmaraja, Yamadharmaraja to Nachiketa. Smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest is the Paramatma. And he is nothing but the Spinoza's God. He is nothing but the Ishvara. So that is where, in order to attain that, you have to make the efforts. How to make the efforts? What is happening? Beautifully, it is there in this in this section of the 8th section. The more I will continue in my next session. Till such time, Bhuyat, Tavat, Shubhamangalam, and this is my part 8, and this is the first portion. Hari Om.